The arrival of the recruits. In a galaxy teeming with life where countless species vied for dominance, one institution stood out as a beacon of military excellence: the Galactic Military Academy. Located on the planet Zenra, known for its harsh landscapes and intense training regimens, this academy was not for the faint-hearted. Drill Sergeant Varric, a towering figure with a reputation for toughness, paced back and forth in his office, his mind racing with thoughts about the new recruits. "Another batch of hopefuls," he muttered to himself, crossing his arms in frustration. "Let's see how long they last." He had seen many come and go over his years at the academy, but these newcomers were different. They were human. As he gazed out at the training grounds bathed in sunlight, he spotted a transport ship landing. His heart sank. Humans were known for their resilience, but they were also untested in environments like Zenra. Varric's skepticism grew as he watched three figures disembark from the shuttle. They moved with an ease that seemed almost unnatural under Zenra's increased gravity. "Sergeant Varric," called out Lieutenant Mee, her voice tinged with excitement as she rushed into his office. "The humans have arrived." "Are they walking or crawling?" Varric replied dryly. "They're walking, sir, and they seem well unfazed by our gravity settings," she said, her 6 eyes wide with disbelief. Varric raised an eyebrow. "Impossible. We keep this place at 2G to weed out those who can't handle it." He stormed out of his office toward the landing pad, curiosity piqued despite himself. As he stepped onto the landing pad, he saw them clearly: Jenna, Leo, and Sam, each carrying heavy packs as if they were mere feathers. Jenna had a confident smile plastered across her face, while Leo was busy filming their surroundings with a handheld device. Sam was busy adjusting his gear but still managed to glance around with an eager expression. "Hey, check this out," Jenna called out suddenly, pointing toward Zenra's twin suns rising above the horizon. "It's beautiful." Varric felt his jaw drop slightly as he watched Jenna lift her pack effortlessly over her head to get a better view of the sunrise. "What in the cosmos?" he muttered under his breath. "Sir," Lieutenant Myra said hesitantly from behind him, "should we activate medical protocols just in case?" "No," Varric replied sharply. "These are recruits. We'll treat them like any others." But deep down, unease began to creep into his thoughts. They gathered for an initial briefing, where Varric laid out what lay ahead: a grueling week-long training program designed to challenge even seasoned warriors from across the galaxy. As he outlined each obstacle and challenge, he noticed how Jenna and her friends exchanged glances filled with determination rather than fear. "Listen up," Varric barked as he concluded his speech. "This isn't just any training camp. This is where we forge warriors. You think you can handle it?" "We're ready," Leo shouted back enthusiastically. The other instructors exchanged uneasy glances. This was not how new recruits typically responded. As they prepared for their first day of drills, Varric felt a knot form in his stomach. The first exercise involved running laps around a track set in 2G gravity, a task that had sent many cadets sprawling in exhaustion during their first attempts. However, as Jenna took off alongside Leo and Sam, they moved with surprising speed and agility. "Is this really happening?" one instructor whispered incredulously. Varric watched closely as Jenna led her teammates around the track with ease while others struggled behind them. By midday, it became clear that these humans were not just surviving, they were thriving under conditions meant to break them. As evening fell over Zenra and fatigue began to set in among some alien cadets, Varric found himself packing again in his office, unable to shake off what he had witnessed throughout the day. "What am I missing?" he pondered aloud as he reviewed their performance metrics on his holographic display. They had broken records, every single one of them, and yet there was something unsettling about their resilience. The next morning promised more challenges ahead. Varric knew that if these humans continued at this pace, it would only escalate tensions among instructors who had long prided themselves on being superior warriors. As dawn broke over Zenra once more, Varric steeled himself for what lay ahead: an unpredictable week filled with surprises that would test not only these human recruits, but also every belief he held about strength and capability in warfare. Little did he know that these three would soon turn everything he thought he knew upside down. The training begins. As the first rays of the twin suns illuminated the training grounds, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Drill Sergeant Kesthor stood at the entrance of the obstacle course, arms crossed, and a stern expression on his face. He had spent years preparing elite warriors, and now he was about to see how these human recruits would fare against challenges designed to break even the toughest of them. "Listen up," Kaz bellowed, his voice echoing across the field. "Today you will face the beginner's course, which has hospitalized many cadets before you. You will push your limits, and I expect nothing less than your best effort." The three human recruits, Marcus, Luna, and Kyle, exchanged confident glances. They were ready for whatever lay ahead. With their spirits high and adrenaline pumping, they stepped forward as Kaz gestured toward the course. The obstacle course. The first obstacle was a series of mud pits designed to test agility and endurance. As they approached, Kaz couldn't help but notice how the humans seemed unfazed. "They'll regret that confidence soon enough," he thought, smirking to himself. "Go," Kaz shouted, and the recruits dashed forward. Marcus leaped into the first pit with surprising grace, landing firmly on his feet. Luna followed closely behind, her determination evident as she navigated through the muck with ease. Kyle brought up the rear, his laughter ringing out as he splashed through the mud. "Are they enjoying this?" one instructor whispered to another, disbelief etched on their faces. Kaz's eyes narrowed as he watched them tackle each obstacle with a mix of skill and enthusiasm. "This isn't a game," he muttered under his breath. "They'll learn soon enough." Unexpected strength. As they progressed through the course, Kaz began to notice something peculiar about their performance. The humans were not only completing each challenge, they were doing so with an unexpected flair. At one point, Marcus had to scale a wall that stood twice his height. Instead of struggling like many before him, he used a combination of strength and clever foot placement to reach the top effortlessly. "Did you see that?" one of the alien instructors exclaimed in astonishment. "He climbed that wall like it was nothing." Luna quickly followed suit, her agility allowing her to maneuver around obstacles with fluidity that left everyone speechless. Even Kyle, who had been lagging behind initially, found his rhythm and began catching up with his friends. Kaz felt a knot tightening in his stomach. "This isn't supposed to happen," he thought anxiously. "They're not just surviving, they're thriving." The gravity chamber. After completing the mud pits, the recruits moved on to their next challenge, the gravity chamber. This section was notorious for its punishing conditions. It simulated an environment with increased gravitational forces designed to test even seasoned warriors' limits. "Welcome to your worst nightmare," Kaz announced as they entered the chamber. The gravity settings shifted from standard levels to 3G almost instantly, causing many cadets to stumble. However, Marcus and his friends stood tall, adjusting quickly to their new surroundings. "This is nothing compared to what we trained for back home," Marcus said confidently as he began jogging in place. Kaz watched in disbelief as they adapted so seamlessly. "How are they doing this?" he wondered aloud. Luna took a deep breath and began running laps around the chamber while Kyle joined her, both of them laughing as if they were out for a casual jog rather than enduring extreme conditions. Alien instructors' reactions. The alien instructors exchanged worried glances as they observed this unprecedented display of resilience. Commander Vexter's mandibles clicked nervously as he leaned closer to Kaz. "Should we lower the gravity? This isn't normal." "No," Kaz barked back sharply. "Let them continue. We need to see how far they can push themselves." As time passed, it became increasingly clear that these humans were more than just resilient. They were thriving in conditions meant to break them down. The other cadets struggled under 3G gravity while Marcus, Luna, and Kyle continued their relentless pace. "Look at them go," one instructor remarked incredulously. "It's like they're built for this." A test of teamwork. After several grueling laps in the gravity chamber, Kaz decided it was time for a teamwork exercise, an obstacle that required coordination among teammates while navigating through an intricate maze filled with barriers and traps. "Work together or fail," Kaz shouted as he explained the task ahead. Marcus took charge immediately. "Luna, you go ahead and scout for traps while Kyle and I handle any obstacles we encounter." Luna nodded enthusiastically and dashed ahead while Marcus and Kyle followed closely behind her lead. They navigated through tight corners and avoided pitfalls with impressive synchronization. As they approached a particularly tricky section filled with swinging pendulums designed to knock over unsuspecting cadets, Luna shouted instructions from ahead. Duck now, jump. Kaz watched in awe as they executed each command flawlessly, ducking under swinging barriers and leaping over gaps without hesitation. The growing tension. Meanwhile, tension grew among Kaz's fellow instructors as bets began circulating about how long these humans could last against increasingly difficult challenges. Some instructors remained skeptical, while others began placing larger wagers on their performance. "I'm telling you," one instructor said excitedly while placing a hefty bet on their success, "these humans might just surprise us all." But Kaz remained focused on his role as drill sergeant despite feeling increasingly uneasy about what lay ahead for these recruits. He had prepared for failure, but never anticipated such resilience from beings considered inferior by galactic standards. As dusk fell over Zenra after an exhausting day filled with challenges that tested every limit imaginable, Kaz gathered everyone around for debriefing, a chance for him to assess how well these humans had performed against all odds. "We'll regroup tomorrow morning," he said firmly while keeping his gaze fixed on Marcus and his friends, who were still buzzing with energy despite their grueling day. Little did Kaz know that tomorrow would bring even greater challenges, and perhaps reveal truths about humanity that would shake him to his core. Pushing limits. As the sun rose over Zenra, casting a warm glow across the training grounds, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Drill Sergeant Kaz Thor stood at the entrance of the obstacle course, arms crossed and a determined look on his face. Today was the day he would truly test the limits of the human recruits, Marcus, Luna, and Kyle. After their astonishing performance during the first 2 days of training, he was eager to see if they could maintain their momentum. The challenge ahead. "Welcome to Day 3, Kaz announced, his voice booming across the field. "Today you will face challenges that will push you to your very limits. This is not just about physical strength, it's about mental resilience and teamwork." The recruits nodded, their expressions a mix of excitement and determination. They had already proven themselves capable of handling extreme conditions, but Kaz knew that today would be different. He had designed a series of grueling exercises meant to test not only their physical abilities, but also their capacity to work together under pressure. "First up is the team relay," Kaz continued. "You'll need to complete a series of tasks while racing against the clock. Failure is not an option." The team relay begins. As they lined up at the starting point, Marcus took a deep breath. "We've got this," he said confidently. "Just remember to communicate and keep pushing each other." Luna nodded in agreement, her dark ponytail swinging as she bounced on her toes in anticipation. Kyle adjusted his gear and flashed a grin. "Let's show them what we're made of." With a sharp whistle from Kaz, they were off. The first leg of the relay involved sprinting through a series of obstacles, barrels to climb over, pits to jump across, and walls to scale. Marcus took the lead, his legs pumping as he navigated each challenge with agility. "Go, go, go," Luna shouted from behind him, her voice filled with encouragement. As Marcus reached the first checkpoint, he tagged Luna, who immediately took off down the next stretch, a narrow path lined with mud pits designed to slow them down. But instead of hesitating, she leaped into action, her feet finding solid footing as she maneuvered through the muck. Working together. Meanwhile, Kyle was waiting for his turn at the next checkpoint. He could see Luna struggling slightly, but quickly regained her balance and surged forward. "You can do it," he yelled out. When it was finally Kyle's turn, he charged ahead with determination. The next task involved lifting heavy weights, something that had previously caused many cadets to falter under pressure. But Kyle had been training hard back home and was ready for this challenge. He approached the weights with confidence and began lifting them with surprising ease. Kaz watched from the sidelines, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "How are they doing this?" he thought to himself. A moment of crisis. Just as they were nearing the final stretch of the relay, disaster struck. Luna stumbled while climbing over a particularly high wall and fell backward into a mud pit. The impact knocked her breath away for a moment. "Luna," Marcus shouted as he turned back to help her. "I'm fine, just give me a second," she called out between gasps. Kaz felt a surge of concern, but also curiosity. How would these humans react under pressure? Would they falter or rise to the occasion? Without hesitation, Marcus rushed back to help Luna up, while Kyle kept an eye on their time ticking away in the background. "We can't lose this," Kyle urged them. Just go, I'll catch up, Luna insisted as she struggled to regain her footing. No way, we finish this together, Marcus replied firmly. With that declaration, he extended his hand toward Luna, who grasped it tightly as he pulled her up from the mud pit. The two exchanged determined glances before they both sprinted toward Kyle together. The final push. As they neared the final checkpoint, a massive wall that required teamwork to scale, Kaz watched intently. This was where many teams had failed in previous years. It required not just strength, but also trust in one another. Okay, Marcus said breathlessly as they approached the wall. I'll boost you both up. Luna nodded while Kyle positioned himself below Marcus's feet for support. With one powerful push from Marcus and a swift leap from Luna, they managed to reach the top together. Now pull us up, Kyle shouted from below. With all three working together, they climbed over the wall and landed on solid ground just in time for Kaz's whistle, signaling their completion of the relay. Celebration and reflection. Breathless but exhilarated, they stood together as Kaz approached them with an expression that was hard to read. Was it admiration or disbelief? Well done, he finally said after a moment's pause. You completed that faster than any team I've seen in years. The recruits exchanged proud smiles as adrenaline coursed through their veins. They had faced challenges head-on and worked together seamlessly despite setbacks, a testament to their resilience and teamwork. But Kaz couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling. These humans were not just surviving, they were thriving in ways he had never anticipated. A new challenge awaits. As they caught their breath and celebrated their victory over Day 3's challenges, Kaz gathered everyone around for what would come next. A grueling endurance test designed to push them beyond their limits yet again. You've proven yourselves today, he announced firmly. But tomorrow will be even tougher. You'll face conditions that will test every ounce of your strength and resolve. Marcus looked at his friends with determination gleaming in his eyes. Bring it on, he exclaimed confidently. Luna nodded vigorously, while Kyle added with enthusiasm, We're ready for whatever you throw at us. Kaz felt a mix of respect and concern for these recruits as he prepared for what lay ahead. A week filled with challenges that would either break them or forge them into something extraordinary. Little did he know that tomorrow would reveal even more about human ingenuity and strength than anyone could have imagined. The breaking point as dawn broke over the Galactic Military Academy. The air crackled with tension. Drill Sergeant Kaz Thor stood at the entrance of the elite qualification course, his heart racing with a mix of anticipation and dread. Today marked the beginning of a grueling challenge that would test the limits of the human recruits, Marcus, Luna, and Kyle. After their impressive performances in the previous days, Kaz felt a nagging sense of uncertainty. Would they continue to defy expectations, or would this be the day they finally met their match? The course begins. Welcome to Day 4, Kaz shouted, his voice echoing across the training grounds. Today you will face the most challenging obstacles yet. This course has broken seasoned warriors. I expect nothing less than your best. Marcus, Luna, and Kyle stood at the starting line, determination etched on their faces. They had already proven their resilience time and again, but this was different. The course ahead was designed to push them beyond physical endurance into the realm of mental fortitude. As the whistle blew, they surged forward, charging into a series of treacherous challenges that awaited them. The first obstacle was a series of magma pits, boiling hot and filled with jagged rocks that threatened to trip them at every turn. Stay focused, Marcus shouted as he leaped over a particularly large pit, landing gracefully on solid ground. Luna followed closely behind, her agility allowing her to navigate the treacherous terrain with ease. Facing fears. However, as they approached the next section, a narrow bridge suspended over a chasm filled with swirling lava, doubt began to creep in. Kaz watched intently as they hesitated at the edge of the bridge. Come on, we can do this, Kyle urged, his voice steady despite the fear that flickered in his eyes. Luna took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge first. Just keep moving. We can't let fear hold us back, she called out. With each step they took across the bridge, Kaz felt his heart race alongside them. It was one thing to watch them tackle obstacles with confidence. It was another entirely to see them confront their fears head-on. The teamwork test. Once across the bridge, they faced a new challenge, a wall that required teamwork to scale. Kaz had intentionally designed this obstacle to test their ability to cooperate under pressure. "Marcus, boost me up," Luna shouted as she approached the wall. Without hesitation, Marcus crouched down and lifted her onto his shoulders. With a powerful push from him and a leap from Luna, she reached for the top ledge and grasped it tightly. "Now pull me up," Marcus called out as he climbed up after her. Kyle stood below, ready to assist as they worked together seamlessly. Kaz couldn't help but feel impressed by their camaraderie. They were becoming more than just recruits, they were a team. The mental challenge. After scaling the wall, they entered an area filled with mind-bending puzzles designed to test their mental acuity under stress. This section was notorious for causing even the most intelligent cadets to falter. "Think fast," Kyle shouted as he examined a holographic puzzle that required them to arrange symbols in a specific order. "Luna, you take that side. Marcus and I will handle this side," Kyle instructed quickly. The three of them worked furiously against the clock as they solved each puzzle together. The pressure mounted as time ticked away, but instead of panicking, they found strength in each other's presence. "We've got this, just focus," Marcus encouraged as they completed another puzzle just in time. A moment of doubt. As they progressed through the course, fatigue began to set in. Their bodies were sore from days of relentless training, and doubt started creeping into their minds. Would they really be able to finish this challenge? Kaz noticed their struggle and felt an unexpected pang of empathy. He had trained countless warriors over his career, but had never encountered recruits quite like these humans before. They were pushing themselves harder than anyone he'd seen, but even he knew everyone had their limits. "Keep going, you're almost there," he shouted from his post on the sidelines, trying to motivate them despite his own concerns. But just as they approached what was known as the gauntlet, a series of swinging pendulums designed to knock over anyone who dared to cross, Luna stumbled slightly and fell behind. "I can't do it, I'm too tired," she gasped, frustration evident in her voice. Rallying together, Marcus immediately turned back to her, determination shining in his eyes. "Yes, you can. We're not leaving anyone behind." Kyle quickly joined him. "We've come too far to give up now, just take a breath and focus." With renewed energy from her teammates' encouragement, Luna nodded and pushed herself forward again. Together they faced the gauntlet as a united front, swinging pendulums crashing down around them while they dodged and weaved through each obstacle with precision. "Now," Marcus shouted as he led them through one final swing before reaching safety on the other side. The final stretch. As they neared the end of the course, exhaustion weighed heavily on their bodies, but what lay ahead was a final challenge that would require everything they had left: the void jump. This obstacle involved leaping into an open space where gravity fluctuated wildly before landing safely on a designated platform below, a task that had sent many cadets spiraling into failure before them. Kaz watched closely as they prepared for this last leap of faith. "You can do it," he called out encouragingly despite his own doubts about their chances of success. With one last rallying cry from Marcus, "Let's go," the three human recruits launched themselves into the void together, a leap into uncertainty. As they soared through space, momentarily weightless before gravity kicked back around them, time seemed suspended for an instant. Kaz held his breath as he watched them navigate through chaos with remarkable skill and determination. They landed on the platform with barely any time to spare, breathless but triumphant. Kaz's heart raced with disbelief as he processed what he had just witnessed. These humans had conquered every obstacle thrown at them without faltering once. They were not just surviving, they were thriving against all odds. Celebration and reflection. As cheers erupted from fellow instructors watching nearby, Kaz felt an overwhelming sense of pride swell within him, a feeling he hadn't expected when these humans first arrived at the academy. "You did it!" he exclaimed as he approached Marcus, Luna, and Kyle, who were catching their breath after completing what seemed impossible just hours earlier. "We couldn't have done it without each other," Luna replied with a beaming smile. Kaz nodded slowly. Perhaps there was more to these humans than he had initially thought. They had shown resilience beyond measure, and now it was clear that whatever lay ahead in their training journey would only serve to strengthen their bond further. The final challenge. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden hue across the training grounds, Drill Sergeant Kaz Thor stood at the entrance of the elite qualification course, his heart pounding with anticipation. Today was the day that would determine whether Marcus, Luna, and Kyle could truly conquer the challenges set before them. After their impressive performances so far, Kaz felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Would they rise to the occasion once more, or would this be their breaking point? The calm before the storm. "Welcome to Day 5, Kaz announced, his voice booming across the field. "Today you will face your final challenge, the culmination of everything you've learned over the past week. This course will test your physical strength, mental acuity, and teamwork like never before." The recruits exchanged glances filled with determination. They had come so far together, and now they were ready to give it their all. Each of them had faced their fears and pushed past their limits, but Kaz knew that today would be different. The course ahead was designed to push them beyond what they thought was possible. "Are you ready?" Kaz asked, his eyes narrowing as he surveyed them. "Ready," they shouted in unison, their voices echoing across the training grounds. The gauntlet of challenges. The first obstacle was a massive wall that towered above them, slick with a viscous substance meant to make climbing nearly impossible. "This is where many have failed," Kaz warned. "You'll need to work together if you want to get over this wall." Marcus took charge. "Luna, you're lightest, you go first. Kyle and I will boost you up." Luna nodded and positioned herself beneath the wall. With a powerful push from Marcus and Kyle lifting her from below, she managed to grab hold of the ledge. "I'm up," she shouted triumphantly. "Now pull us up," Kyle yelled as he scrambled to follow her lead. With teamwork and determination, they managed to scale the wall together. As they landed on solid ground, Kaz felt a surge of pride mixed with disbelief. They were doing it together, navigating the maze. Next came a labyrinth filled with traps designed to confuse and disorient even the most skilled cadets. "Stay close," Marcus instructed as they entered the maze. They moved cautiously through winding paths and sudden turns, relying on each other's instincts to navigate through the chaos.